What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Underdog Sports Podcast. I am your host, Nolan Skeen, alongside Antonio Fiore, Salestrina. Let's go.
Woo.
How we doing?
Good evening.
I'm fine.
Greetings.
Good evening.
Greetings.
So, God, it's good to be back.
It's always good to be back.
God, it's good to be back. It's good to be talking football with you, gentlemen.
That crisp fall air, the nice little.
Not yet, but
in the nighttime.
It's
In the nighttime.
I think we're getting a little sneak peek of it right now.
I thoroughly enjoy the fall. I think it's the best season out of the four.
I think it's just Mother Nature, like, it's tickling us. Like, you know what I mean?
I like the fall before November.
Yes.
Yeah, like
late
September and October.
Early fall. Like
once
late,
the leaves are like off of the
yeah,
trees,
late fall. It's like
yeah.
I don't know about
because then it starts to get like 40 at night and stuff, and you're like, this is
Oh yeah,
once you start getting 40s,
then you get like
the days where it's like 80 and then it's like 50 at night. You're like,
I love it.
Or like
That's
55. You're like,
just kind of what we're getting right now.
A little bit, yeah, for sure.
Not as humid.
All right,
yeah, we've had some preseason football.
Rank the seasons: fall, summer.
Oh God, this is the easiest.
No, fall, spring, summer, winter.
This is the easiest thing I've ever done.
That's yours.
Yeah.
Mine's for myself so easy: summer, spring, fall, winter.
I would flip yours top two, and that's mine.
Summer, spring, or
spring,
fall, summer, winter.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Even the spring has like 1 month where I'm like, it's still winter.
Yeah. I mean, fall and spring kind of like.
Spring is only
dude.
good because it's like you get out of the deep abyss of winter. Like winter is terrible. You're just sitting there in like your room for
like
spring takes
a
while to
tunnel, like you see the light type shit.
Mm-hmm.
Spring takes a while to kick in.
No, but the first day where it's like 70 outside, everyone's like, yes.
Like
everyone goes nuts.
Like in March and like the first like 3 weeks of April, you're like, fucking come on here, let's go. You're like, it's.
And then you flip a switch and then it's 90 outside and you're like, all right, I'm ready for fall.
What's the worst month?
Oh, February.
February's the worst.
By January or February.
One's both of our birthdays though, so.
February, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
And the worst month.
But like, if your birthday wasn't that month.
No, but it's still the worst month. That's the problem.
Oh, wait, but the Super Bowl.
Super Bowl's in February, but I mean.
Yeah, but you get the whole playoffs in January.
Okay, to live in the Northeast.
February is the worst.
February and January are both the worst months possible.
Yeah, at least I get to watch playoff football in January. February does nothing.
You know what sucks too? The older I get, the more I hate winter.
I think it's
despise it.
I think it's just one of those things where it's like you have responsibilities now, so you're like, I really gotta go shovel the driveway and drive to work now.
And half of the fun of childhood was snow days.
Yeah,
now
I know,
but
snow days even by the time I was a senior, like I hated winter.
I can work from home, so it's like
exactly you're trapped.
Snow day? No, don't log in from home,
dude. How dumb is that?
It's not the best.
The best thing about fall and winter is football.
The best thing
it's the only redeeming quality.
The best thing about life is football.
Yeah,
That's
football
true.
is why
being a sports person. Football is literally the only thing. Football is the only thing that keeps me alive during those months.
I don't know how like it's like a weird transition. Like you go from like football every Sunday and you're just like looking forward to it all week. Like it's like the anticipation till Sunday, and it builds up. And then when the season's over, you're like. Huh?
Like a piece of me is
like
missing.
for the first like month.
No, I know exactly what you mean, and I can never figure out how I figured it out last year. Like what I do. What I'm supposed to
like
do.
on Sundays you just sit around and you're like, when is the game? Oh wait, it's February 25th.
I mean, even like kind of like when playoff football comes around and like there isn't as much football on, you're kind of like, but then it's playoff football.
Yeah, and then
so
you're just like
it holds you over a little bit. And then once like the Super Bowl comes, and you have that 2 weeks until
the week in between is darkness, because then you're like, wow, this is how it is after the Super Bowl.
And then it makes you realize like, wow, there's one game left, and then we have
so
months of just nothing.
We really need to come up with a solution. Like the USFL is, trying to become bigger down.
I thought I was gonna keep up with that, and I never watched it.
Yeah. Like there could be something else there to entertain us for football, but do you really trust yourself to stay with it that long?
It's just never going to be the same.
You might for the first few weeks. It could hold you over, but then after a few games are gonna
Be
say
like,
that same
yeah.
thing. Like it's not the same.
So what's the answer? Just you gotta wait till football. That sucks.
Suck it up and watch some fucking
hibernation.
hockey or basketball. I don't know.
The secret's hibernation.
NBA regular season is like the worst thing.
Yeah, that's getting borderline on.
For me, hockey holds me over.
Yeah,
until,
hockey's
but
good.
then
I mean,
it's,
like a lot of the times those TNT games are normally like pretty. They have like good matchups. Whereas like even if it's like the Celtics versus whoever, the Lakers, then it's like, oh, LeBron's sitting out, or
and then
like
like Christmas is always a good spotlight for basketball. Too.
Christmas is just the best day that's ever been created in human history.
For basketball. I kind of wish it was more football.
Well,
heavy,
football they're
but that's
playing
Thanksgiving.
They're playing 3 football games this year on Christmas.
Oh, I love
That's-
Christmas.
that's
football.
amazing.
I love it.
Well, Christmas football, Christmas basketball, Christmas.
Because what's the best thing about Thanksgiving?
Yeah, but Christmas
Football. Football's the best thing about Thanksgiving.
stuffing.
Yeah, food.
No, I don't like Thanksgiving food.
It's all right. It's pretty good, but it's like
Stuffing is like better than turkey.
turkey is pretty mid.
Turkey
No,
is
it's
the
so-
most
it's the-
mid thing.
Dude, it's the only time I eat it. Like any time of year.
I
it's
would
on
never
Thanksgiving.
like have a like turkey like that.
No,
like,
never.
Yeah, when are you ever gonna make a full turkey?
You gotta.
other
I
than
mean, I
Thanksgiving?
love gravy. Gravy's great, and I love drenching my turkey in gravy. But you have to drench it in gravy, or you're chewing
just
until
dry.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Also, I don't understand people that get turkey. A lot of people do it. Turkey as a deli meat to put on your sandwich.
I do that.
A
But
lot of people do that.
I do that,
I'm
but
good.
it's not. It's,
I'm out on that too.
I'm
I'm
all
in on
set.
that. I do that, but it's
Yeah, but like I could
Obviously,
have
there's
deli
there's better
chicken, or I
things.
could just get ham or roast beef.
What's
or
like the New York
pastrami.
thing? Turkey on rye? Is that what it is?
You said New York
turkey on
thing?
rye bread.
Yeah, turkey on rye.
I didn't know turkey on any sandwich is a New York thing.
I'm pretty sure it's like turkey on rye or
I
something.
mean, rye bread's underrated.
If you walked into a deli in New York and said, "What's that New York sandwich?" they would not say turkey. I doubt they'd say turkey.
We're gonna look that up after.
Yeah, we'll look that up after. But I mean, hey, football. So what are we gonna get into today, gentlemen? I'd say we get into a little.
I want to get
fantasy
into
talk.
a pastrami sandwich now.
I'm starving.
Okay, you can't shit talk turkey and then talk about pastrami. Like,
Pastrami's great. Well, I'm thinking about deli meat. Hey, you're gonna shit talk pastrami.
Pastrami's pretty good.
it's salami,
pretty
dude.
good.
Salami all the way.
Oh, I thought you said it's salami. Yeah, salami's great.
Salami's the answer.
Genoa salami.
Grand
Yeah.
salami.
Yeah,
Pepperoni.
a grand salami. That's my favorite.
All
Salami.
right, we're gonna get into some fantasy talk. Like seriously, everyone has fantasy drafts coming up. Everyone wants to know what's the best way to draft. Who do you draft first? When do you draft a quarterback? Blah blah blah. PPR, non PPR. I don't really give a shit about any of that. I say we just dive into
Players we like, players we don't like.
players we like, players we don't like. You know, because it's like we could sit here and be like, oh, you should draft this guy because he's going to be a sleeper. It's like we're just going to get that wrong. Like we're just going to be wrong. But I say we do want to go into guys that we think might have a breakout year. So I don't know where to start. Should we start with quarterbacks? Because, I mean, the quarterback is probably the easiest position to say this guy's going to have a breakout year.
I mean,
'Cause-
to coincide with everything I've been saying, Jalen Hurts will have a breakout season this year
okay.
Well, wasn't he a top 10 fantasy quarterback last year?
because of his running ability.
Right.
So that's the thing with fantasy quarterbacks. It's like you could be a dog shit quarterback and
So fantasy wise, he broke out last year, but like as a
Okay.
top echelon.
I guess we're somewhere in the middle of we're saying a fantasy breakout and a,
You know what? Never mind. I
Because
take
here's the
that
thing.
back.
You
I
might
would call.
say-
Yeah, I think that's fair to bring up because he
You might
didn't.
say he broke out, but at the same time, like, think of all the other quarterbacks that are better that you could have had. Like, you know, like
Yeah,
it's
I'll
not,
take
it's
that
not
back.
like he's like
It's
broke
more-
out and was the top. Like, you know what I mean? He could be the top. He still has like a ceiling to go. Like,
I
he-
think Jalen Hurts can be a top 3.
Oh, I
yeah.
fantasy
so
quarterback.
so that means that would be a breakout.
Yeah, no,
in
I was
my
gonna
opinion.
say I take that back.
I mean, it's not one of those things where like he can be like a top 3 real life quarterback. Like I would never say like he'd be as good as Mahomes or Josh Allen, but with his rushing ability with that offense, I think he could put up the numbers that coincide with like a top 3 or 4 fantasy finish. you
I mean,
know?
I think there's a lot of potential for him. Obviously, like what you said with his running ability, and now he has AJ Brown. Like, So I mean, he has some targets as well.
Plays in a terrible division.
Plays in a terrible division. He could have. Do you think he could have numbers like how like Lamar had numbers a couple years ago?
I don't think he runs that much.
You don't think
I
he's
don't
going
know
to be
if
running
it's-
that
But
much?
I think he can throw maybe a little bit more than Lamar did that season. So maybe it balances out
I agree.
some form or fashion. I don't think he's winning an MVP.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think the numbers turn as ridiculous as the MVP
But
season.
I
something
think
similar.
I think he could run in like 10
Absolutely.
touchdowns though, because when they did around the goal line, they're just like it's like Cam Newton, and they're just like here QB draw, QB whatever, like just.
Well, 'cause, I mean, who's their running back? Miles
Sanders? He had 0 touchdowns last year. Miles Sanders had 0 touchdowns last year.
That's insane.
Look at that. Jesus.
That's actually crazy. I didn't know that.
Kenneth Gainwell had like 6 or 7. He stole all of them. He was like the second string running
Is he
back.
like their 1 yard guy? Like,
Kinda, but like
yeah.
they'll get in like the 10 and they'll be like Sanders.
Their 1 yard guy.
Their 1 yard guy.
Their
But
1
Garrett
yard
Blunt
guy.
was the best 1 yard guy in history.
Yes, he was.
Absolutely.
Who's your quarterback breakout, Mr. Stan?
I mean, I did want to talk about Jalen Hurts just because I know you love Jalen Hurts as much. Because here's the thing. The quarterback section is so hard because it's like you could sit here and say like, oh, Trevor Lawrence. Because it's like, okay, he has
Well, you
such a
definitely
low-
could say Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, because he's still a prospect.
Yeah. I mean, I really want to say like guy who's going to like could break out and be like the top guy. Like say like better than Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. Like that's breakout to me, like breakout into the front of the pack. I think Justin Herbert.
Oh,
For
superstar
sure.
breakout. Okay.
He had like I think I looked at his stats earlier. He had like 38 touchdowns, 15 interceptions this year. I definitely think he gets over 40 touchdowns this year just because of like with that the way they've built that team and like he has the weapons to do it. Like he might have like so many touchdowns.
I
He
mean,
couldn't
that-
even get 50. I
that-
wouldn't be surprised if he had 50.
That offense is going to be impossible to stop. I don't know how you stop. I mean, Allen, Williams, Eckler, they have a couple of tight ends. Herbert I think he can throw at like any like distance on the field. Like if you put him on his own goal line and have him throw to the other goal line, he can probably do it. Like
yeah,
Arm
like,
is as
it
good
just-
as Rodgers and Allen. I mean, Mahomes and Allen.
I could sit here and argue that starting a franchise right now, you might want him. He's a third year.
Yeah, and I think that they've properly built the pieces around him. Now it's just time to like maybe try to implement it into place and see where they can go. Obviously, I think to this day that they could beat, the Chiefs.
They can beat any team in the
They
league.
could beat the
As long as
Chiefs
it
in
all
an
comes
AFC
together correctly.
Championship game. I say right now, head to head, they beat the Chiefs in an AFC Championship game. That's just my opinion, but
I definitely think they have a better roster.
and that's the team that they're gunning for. That's what every team in the AFC should be gunning for. The Chiefs, because that's the model, right? That's like the team that's been there the most in the past 5 years. That's just the team right now that everyone was gunning for and like trying to model their team after. And I think the Chargers have done that, and I think that they could be better than them this year. So I think, and Justin Herbert's going to be a stud for like years to come.
It's very dynamic, and he's not like not like to say he's got a run threat, but he can move around.
Yeah, no, I mean
Quite a
he's
bit.
like Josh Allen in the sense like you don't see Josh Allen like he's not Lamar Jackson. He's not like getting 100 rushing yards a game, but like he can move if he has to. Like say it's like 3rd and 7, the pocket collapses, he can get out and get the 7 yards no problem. Like I'm not worried about that.
Antonio, quarterback breakout that you were watching.
I don't want to go ahead and say Lawrence. I kind of agree with you on that.
I mean, you could though. I mean, anyone could.
I don't know.
argue
I'm just
that.
kind of like torn between these two things because I think with the new head coach down there, it's looking like Jackson's gonna be. I don't want to say when I say a lot better, I'm not talking about a winning team next year, but quite improved from last year, and that is to go with all. Yeah, it sounds like well maybe that's to go with all the players like around there. So they added some weapons on. The wide receiver side of things, and now you get ETN back. I don't know what's going on with James Robinson. Is he going to be back or no?
He's running with the ones as of right now. So
Okay. I think Lawrence is quite a candidate to break out and have a pretty big season. And I hate it, and I think it's kind of gross, but I feel like you got to kind of throw Tua in there as a big breakout, his big breakout potential.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
That
that
you
too,
got
just because he has Tyreek Hill now.
Does anyone
Tyreek
does
Hill-
anyone trust their eyes? He's terrible.
Tyreek Hill and Jalen
He's
Waddle.
shown he's terrible. I'm not getting off this. He could go out and light the Patriots up for 5 touchdowns week 1, and I'll come and sit in this chair and I'll say he's fucking garbage, like because he is. He literally is.
I don't say he's not garbage, but I mean, didn't Goff have a 4,000 yard? Like bad quarterbacks can do this. He threw for 4,000.
Sure, Tua can put up meaningless stats. That's fine.
Okay, so when you're surrounded like that, then
But if he has a
can you
regular
break
season
out?
like that,
Yeah,
like he'd be a pretty good fantasy pickup.
I think he could be.
They're gonna win games. They're gonna win games not because of him. They're not winning, 9-10 games because of Tua. They're winning games because of their running game or giving the ball to Tyreek Hill on a screen or their defense or their special teams.
So just not going to use their other receivers. You got Jalen Waddle there.
I'm not saying that won't help.
Jalen Waddle's good.
Their
like
their
Jalen
offensive
Waddle.
line is also very good.
Cool.
So
their quarterback sucks.
And Jalen Waddle won't.
All right,
to
you want to ready? Listen.
And since he's been drafted, I've also been saying he sucks, but he is statistically accurate when he's got these guys around him. When he's within. Well, I don't know what I'm getting. Not deep ball, Sal.
Sal is so upset with you.
He can throw a 3-yard pass. Congrats.
I'm with you.
Right. So maybe he'll end up with 3 or 4 deep touchdowns to Tyreek Hill, and he's got guys.
Obviously, my true opinion is I don't think he's good.
I don't think he's good either, but I think he could have a statistical breakout season.
Yeah.
And have a pretty good year.
Well, just because he got the best wide receiver in football on his team now. That's really
or
it.
can we? Can I not say someone breaks out because things got better around them?
Yeah. So now you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
Should I say Justin Fields?
Yeah.
Well, they're winning no games this year.
They suck.
Who do you want him to say?
No, he didn't say whatever he wants. I'm just telling you, Tua's garbage, and
I'm with
even
Antonio
even if he puts up 4,000 yards and like 25 touchdowns.
Listen, I'm probably gonna be calling him garbage if he does put up good stats. So.
Yeah, I mean he is garbage.
That's what I do. I've always been a Tua
But
hater.
statistically, he could have a really good year, like way better than he did last year.
Here's my point: switch Tua and Herbert, and how good do the Dolphins become?
Oh, way better, and that's what they should have taken.
I'm not arguing that.
They could have taken Herbert.
I mean, like, are the Dolphins not the favorite in the AFC if Herbert's on that team?
I mean
That's a pretty wild team.
That would be a pretty wild team.
Herbert's on a pretty wild team now.
They're not the favorites in their division.
The Chargers?
I think the rosters are pretty comparable.
Yeah.
The Chiefs are probably the favorite, right?
The Chiefs are the favorite.
So, I mean... I mean, statistically, yeah, he could put up some good numbers.
But
I'm
how
not
much
saying
worse?
he's good,
how much
though.
worse does that make the Chargers? I guess that's a better way of phrasing this question.
I mean, that makes
I think that makes the Chargers a lot
Like
worse.
because they built that team for Justin Herbert.
But put like Aaron Rodgers on that team on the Chargers, like he would be great. Or put like I don't even know, like Lamar on that team, he's still great. It's just Tua sucks. Put 2 on that team and they blow probably.
Well, yeah, nobody's saying that he doesn't suck. So I just think that he could have good numbers. Doesn't mean that the Miami's going to be good. Doesn't mean that he's going to be good. He's going to go out probably be shit his pants. He's probably going to have a Jameis Winston type year where he throws 50 touchdowns, 50 interceptions.
Breakout, Jameis Winston.
That's your guy?
No. Maybe.
Kind of like it.
First game against Tampa, you have to hammer the Saints because Tampa does not lose or Tampa does not beat that team like every time they play.
I'll hammer the Bucks.
He's like 0-6 since he's down there.
Hammer that
or like
game.
1-6.
I mean, it depends on what the spread's going to be.
It'll be like 6 for Tampa.
So it'd be -6 for Tampa.
Everyone's gonna be like, ooh.
I think everyone's going to be heavily on the Saints. That's why I'm going to take the Bucks.
Which one's right around the corner?
It's like, what, 2.5 weeks away? 2.5 weeks away?
Sunday night, Dallas,
That's
Tampa.
ridiculous. Why is that the first Sunday night game? I don't want to watch Dallas.
Wasn't that the
first
same?
Sunday night
Wasn't that
game.
the
That was
same
the
thing last year?
Thursday.
It was Thursday last
That was
year.
the first game, yeah.
I mean, that was a really good game, though.
Bills, that was a very good game.
I do remember
Dallas
that.
and Tampa.
I remember that.
That was a really good game. So what's the Thursday game?
We were spot on. Bills, Rams.
I like that.
Wow.
What a way to
That's
start
a
the year.
spectacular game.
Buffalo.
No one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo smashed them in that game.
Oh, I was gonna say they might come out the gates.
It's like 34-21 Buffalo.
All right, let's see. I'm excited. I'm excited to hear you guys' takes on this. Running backs. Who do we think, besides Jonathan Taylor, is going to be really good this year at running back? Who's going to have a breakout year at running back?
It's going to be really good.
Or
I
who has
think
potential to have one.
Najee Harris is going to like throw himself into that superstar running back
I
area.
like that answer.
Like, because he still rushed for over 1,000 yards, I think, last year. But
I mean,
like,
they're gonna have to give him the
he's-
ball so many times.
Right.
He
this
kind of
year.
looked icky last year at points.
I mean,
at some points.
The whole Steelers offense looked
they
icky
did.
last
The
year
whole
with
offense looked terrible. But
Ben Fatlessberger.
I mean, and now you have Mitchell Trubisky.
Ooh, I don't think he's starting.
They're gonna be-
It's got to be what's his face. Pickett has to start, I would think.
You think so?
I think they're going to start the season with Trubisky.
I think so too. I think they're gonna have to
If
start.
they
with
if
Trubisky.
But
they
they're-
start the season with Trubisky, I don't know, man.
They're gonna have to,
Why do they have to?
because they have to. Because like they're just gonna roll with. They're the type of team that just kind of just goes with the flow. Like, you know what I mean? They kind of
They
just
figure
throw
it
shit
out.
at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah, but they figure it's a good organization and they can figure things out sometimes. And the Browns probably aren't going to be what they could have been because Watson isn't looking like he's going to
I
be
like
there for a
Najee
good
Harris,
amount of the
though.
year.
I mean, like you said, like Mitch Trubisky, if they have questions at quarterback during that whole time, they're just gonna be handing it
Yeah,
off to Najee.
the guy
Harris.
sucks, but again,
He's
that's
gonna
another
get so many
instance.
touches, dude.
At one point in his career, Trubisky made the playoffs as the starting quarterback of a team, not because of him, but he made
Like
playoffs
he's just gonna have 4
because of
million
a running
carries.
game and a defense.
It's not even gonna matter. He probably won't be like a yard machine, maybe like how like Derrick Henry is or something like that. But like,
Oh no, I think he's
just gonna get so many yards from so many touches.
Mhm.
And he's like, is he a little bit of a pass catcher? I don't think he's like too much of a pass catcher.
No,
but
he's kind of similar to Henry in that aspect of the game, but I think he's
I don't
gonna.
know. So what do you think about Najee Harris?
I mean, their quarterback sucks because you got to think he's going to get a lot of touches at goal line. They're not going to be trying to pass in all these balls. In the
yeah,
end
not
zone.
with Mitch Trubisky. Hell
So
no.
he's just going to get a lot of yards because their quarterback sucks. He's going to get a lot of touchdowns because their quarterback sucks. But he's also really, really good, and that's going to be the only way they can move the ball. Travis Etienne is also another guy.
I like both actually. I think ETN's gonna be more of like not a scat back, but more of like a situational. Like they're gonna probably like put him in the slot, put him in on third down.
Well, I was going to say he's. I don't know. He's got potential to be their lead back.
I'm not saying he can't be. I think they're just gonna use him a little more sparingly. I think they're gonna try to like only use him in situations where it's like, oh, 3rd and 4. All right, we need a first down. Let's run ETN on a little out or like on a little Texas route or something, like just something.
So you don't think they're gonna like run him?
I don't think they'll run him into the ground just because of like his foot, and they're gonna try to ease him in. And you have James Robinson. Why would you not use him? Like, and I'm not saying ETN can't be a breakout player. I think ETN's a very good player, but
Or he's got he's dual threat back too.
yeah, well, I think they're
catch the
gonna,
ball,
I
he
think
can
they're
run
gonna try
the
to throw him the ball as much as possible. Is my point. I think it's gonna be more of one of those things. Najee's just gonna have 400 touches, and it's gonna be like he's gonna have to churn out 3 yards of carry because there's 10 people in the box, and they are not gonna carry because it's Mitchell Trubisky or Kenny Pickett. It's not gonna matter. But
Here's a guy that I want to talk about, and his name is DeAndre Swift. And
you're a big Lions guy.
I'm not a big Lions guy.
I feel like you are
I
though.
want to hold this.
Are you not a big Lions guy? I feel like you were high on them when we were talking about them.
Well,
and
I like Dan Campbell. I like
DeAndre Swift.
I like DeAndre Swift. I like TJ Hawkinson. I just think DeAndre Swift.
He likes Jared Goff.
Yeah, you're Jared Goff's number 1 fan.
Mm-hmm.
I just think DeAndre Swift is because he can catch the ball too. Like I think a lot of people want to like just see him as like a downhill kind of rusher guy, but I really do think he can catch the ball too. So like when you have that, like who do they have at wide receiver?
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Like you know what I mean? They don't like he has to be the guy. DeAndre Swift has to be the number 1 guy. So I think DeAndre Swift, his ceiling is so high. He could have so many fantasy points.
I think it's a combination of he was very touted coming out of college, and he's lived up to all of the hype that he's deserved.
Yeah, I mean he's been the diamond in that rough over there.
I think he's probably slated for a top 5 fantasy running back season.
I think he could.
I think
Mr. Swift.
Yeah.
Mr. Swift. And that's crazy to say, saying out loud, a Lions running back can finish top 5. They threw him the ball so much last year.
They don't have any wide receivers.
He had like 6 targets a game or 7 targets a game or something. So at that point, it's like,
Especially in fantasy, that's huge.
his floor is what, 10 points a game? So the worst he
Yeah.
can probably do in a game is 10 points.
Yeah.
And at that point, say he scores twice or has a big rushing game, he's going to get 20, 25, 30 points. I think I'm pretty sure he's going in like the late second, early third in fantasy.
Probably.
I think he's like a late first round pick. I think where he's going right
Like
now
if you're at the bottom in your draft pool, like maybe
if you're like on the 1-2 turn, like you're at like 10, 11, 12, and you want to take him there, I don't blame you. Like,
I mean, he like you said, his floor is like 10 points. Like if he doesn't get 10 points a game, like
in full PPR, like if it's points per
true.
reception.
I think like I'd say the standard is PPR, right?
Yeah, most people play
Right.
PPR.
Like if so, I say we're just going based off that, but I think like
I remember when I was in like high school and I was like, we should play PPR, and everyone's like, no, it's weird. I don't get why.
and then it became like the standard.
Yeah,
it became
it's-
like the gold
Yeah, that's what
standard.
everybody does. I remember. I think I did 2 leagues that weren't PPR.
standard throwing leagues suck.
It's so weird.
It's like,
I did that before I did PPR. I've never done it again, but like looking back at it, it's so weird.
yeah, it's like ancient.
It's just yards.
Yeah, it's
Like,
ancient
yards and
history. I
touchdowns.
think it's just like we were young and we didn't know what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah.
Now it's like we're
Yeah.
full on degenerates. We're gambling. Like we have hair on our chest. We know what the fuck we're
You
doing.
play a PPR league.
Yeah, like that's just what you do. It's like you're a dad. You drink IPA. You know what I mean?
Fair.
You're playing fantasy football. You play PPR. That's just how it goes.
So I don't like this team. I actually I despise this team.
Okay.
But my breakout running back is Javonte Williams
Okay.
of the Denver Broncos.
Oh yeah, that's a good pick.
I feel like Russell Wilson always has that one guy in the backfield that he trusts, that they get 20 carries, that they get a couple catches a game, that they're always involved in the offense. Denver is probably one of those teams that'll play a little bit more conservatively than
Okay.
I would say in a neutral so there's like neutral strips of the game where it's like within like 3-7 points. There are teams that pass way above expectation and there are teams that run way above expectation. I'd say Denver is probably a team that's closer to running way more than they would be passing in those situations. So if Javonte's getting 20 to 25 touches a game in that offense, that should be 10 times better than it was previously. I think he's slated for a top 5, 10 finish in fantasy. Now, his draft status is probably like right around top 10, top 12-ish. I think he's going in the 3rd round, so it's like, I don't know that he's a value per se, but I think he has a huge season. I think he has 10-plus touchdowns, 1,500, 1,600 all-purpose yards, and he's just a bell cow in that offense. I think that team is not great. I don't love that team, but as an individual talent, I think he's going to be great.
Okay. I like that. What are you thinking?
I think it's a really good pick.
Can we go in the back catalog? You know who's the guy that I really like, and you guys like know. You guys already know this, but Ramondre Stevenson.
I
Yeah.
kind of came close
That's
to
what I
saying
thought you were
him.
gonna say.
I really like him. Dude.
No, he's really
I know
good.
everyone's like, Damian Harris, but like for that New England team, he has potential to be like the number 1 guy, and I think like he's not like the James White pass catching guy that I think Bill prefers, because I feel like the Patriots never really have, like the last guy they had, like LeGarrette Blount. It's like he never really. He was the 1 yard guy. Like he was like, okay, run the 1. We need 1 yard. We're putting in LeGarrette Blount. But I feel like Ramondre Stevenson could be like a Derrick Henry type. Maybe not as dominant, but I think like he could be that guy that just is so downhill. You know, they have a decent offensive line. Like he could be a train wreck.
I mean, if we're going back catalog, I'm going to say Tony Pollard. I think
That's another good one.
tone.
Another good one.
I think Tony Pollard has to just.
I like him.
He has to take over at some point. He's way better than Ezekiel Elliott. Like he just is. Like
So when are the Cowboys gonna have the balls to do that?
I don't think Jerry is like willing to let that happen. And Jerry Jones is the coach of the Cowboys as much as
He
it
really
says.
is.
It
He really
says Mike
is.
McCarthy, but it's really Jerry Jones. Like
Mike McCarthy's just an empty shirt.
Tony Pollard is 50 times better than Ezekiel. Anytime Tony Pollard came in last season, their offense looked 500 times better. And then Zeke comes in and he's just like,
Slug.
like just breathing so like takes a 3-yard run and is like dead afterwards. It's like
Yeah, I just think ever since they paid him, he just hasn't lived up to what he's supposed to. And I think Tony Pollard is like, he's got all the reason to play hard. You know, they have him on like a, what do they have? Don't they have him on a rookie deal still?
yeah, he's
like
not,
they're
he's
literally
getting
getting
paid
such a big discount with this guy. And if they don't seek his potential, probably after this year, like obviously I think this year he's going to play better than he did last year. That's just how it works in the evolution of things. But I mean,
They're going to suck, though.
if they don't realize that, he's going somewhere else and he's going to be the number one guy somewhere else for
They
sure.
might suck because they won't realize that.
Yeah. And I Dallas is definitely a franchise that probably won't realize that. And they'll end up trading him away for nothing. He'll go to like, I don't know, some team that needs a fucking running back, like some team that needs a running back really bad, and then he ends up being the breakout guy there, and he ends up having, you know, like a fucking MVP type year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got that potential. Another guy I like, this is strictly for Andrew Barnes, Breece Hall.
No.
You don't like him?
No.
You don't like him?
I don't like him either.
You don't like that? That's icky?
That's it, yeah.
He might be good. Not this year, obviously, because he's a rookie. He's a really young kid. But I just knew this would get Andrew excited.
Let's hear a receiver, Antonio. You gotta have a receiver on your radar that you've been scouting.
Oh, God. No, I was going to say receiver.
Cooper Kupp.
No, yeah, Cooper Kupp. It's between two guys in the same team. I don't know whether I want to say Cortland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy.
Ooh.
But, one of those guys is going to end up having a huge season this year with a new look
It's
over
gonna
there
be
in
Cortland
Denver.
Sutton,
But
it's gonna be Jerry Jeudy though.
it might
Could
be.
be. I think it might be Jerry
I mean,
Jeudy more than.
I think so too. It could be kind of like that.
Lockett Metcalf.
I was going to say Lockett Metcalf. I think Metcalf is a bit more physical than Sutton is, but Sutton's still a big body. Jerry Jeudy is an excellent route runner. He's very fast. It's kind of hard to say which guy he might end up gravitating toward more. Part of me thinks it's going to end up being Jerry Jeudy.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why, but I think he's going to I think he's set to have a big breakout season.
So you're just in on the Broncos receivers.
Yeah, Broncos receivers. Yeah,
the two guys.
They're probably ranked in fantasy.
Similarly.
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
within like 4 or 5 spots of each other.
I think Jerry Jeudy. Would you say Jerry Judy's a little bit higher?
I think he's
Ranked?
slightly lower, but I could be wrong.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Sutton's probably more of a touchdown threat, but
Judy's more consistent.
Jeudy could rack up some yards next year, and I think he will.
What about you, Sal? Who do you like?
It's a tough one, honestly.
Is it? I feel like wide receiver. There's so many wide receivers.
There's
especially this year.
Who's that kid? There's another young receiver in Minnesota that's really good.
Osborne.
Maybe I thought his name had a hyphen in it. I don't know.
That one
of
I
those.
That one I don't know.
Osborne.
As painful as this is, and this team is garbage as well. Darnell Mooney might have a top 10 fantasy season.
Yeah, he's gonna get
Just from
all of
targets.
the targets.
Just literally
targets alone.
I mean, Allen Robinson's gone. Like their whole offense is just gonna be either David Montgomery, Darnell Mooney, or their tight end. Like that's literally
who's their tight end?
Cole Kmet.
Komet, yeah. I was gonna say Kismet. I thought his name was Kismet.
Maybe Kmet might be a good pick. I would just take Mooney in like the 6th round or the 7th round. It's like wherever he's going right now, I think he definitely returns his value only because they're going to be down like 15, 20 points every game and have to throw. So it's like at that
That's going to be their only guy.
Yeah, at that point, who are they throwing to? N'Keal Harry's hurt. I can't even. I honestly, I cannot name another receiver on that team.
I think
Mohamed Sanu might be on that team, and that's really bad.
Jesus, he's
That's
still
right.
playing.
He's
I didn't know he was
still
still on a
around.
team.
That's really bad.
Mohamed Sanu.
Yeah,
I just knew he was on the Patriots a
I
couple years
remember-
ago, but
I do remember that.
was that last year?
no, that was before.
It was 2 years ago.
I think I took Darnell Mooney in like the 10th or 11th round last year. Next year. So yeah,
Next year.
he's gonna he'll get targets for that team.
He's not
He's
like,
very talented too.
he's not like an alpha one.
Oh no,
receiver.
You do not want him
No,
as your
he's
one.
just so fast.
But
he's so fast.
He's just like he's the only show in town. Like literally, like
yeah,
that's
literally.
all it is.
So like it's just another guy that I think is kind of like that, but there is some competition there in that on this
Alan
team.
Lazard.
No,
I was gonna bring up that name.
It's Deontay Johnson.
I just don't want any part of the Steelers passing attack.
I don't want it either, but he was really good last year, and I think he might be getting a majority of the targets.
Yeah, the Steelers kind of just have like
they
this,
have Washington, they have Claypool, but I think Deontay Johnson might be the number one guy.
the Steelers have this machine that just kind of like
Churns wide receivers out.
wide receivers and running backs just into
They just
stars,
churn him out.
no
And
matter
I
where they
think
put 'em.
Deontay Johnson is at the
Now,
head of the
isn't
pack.
James Washington on another team now?
Is he?
The Cowboys, I think.
You're right.
So that makes it even better. Then he's just gonna get all the targets. Especially, I mean, him and Chase Claypool probably.
There's some rules you have to go by when you draft too. If you're like really low on a team or like really low on like a quarterback or something, don't like take ancillary pieces. Like if you really think like the Steelers are terrible, and you think like Mitch Trubisky's gonna start the whole season, it's really hard to take like a Deontay Johnson. Like you might believe in the talent, you might think he's a really good player. Just the ball's got to like get to him, you know. Like that has to be how.
He's definitely a late in the draft type pickup. If you're really hurting for a wide receiver, I think.
I mean, Allen Robinson had some pretty good fantasy games with Trubisky as his quarterback.
He should be
But he's
interesting.
a lot better.
He should be interesting on the Rams.
Rams, yep, I think so too.
There's a guy that I like that I think you'll probably like this because you love this team so much, Christian Kirk. I think he had some really good games last year on Arizona.
The last couple of years he's had some good games here and there.
Yeah, he's one of these players where like he booms and then goes down for a couple
He's one of those
weeks.
guys that, like, you know, if you have a fantasy team, you're kind of like, you see him on the waivers every week, like every once in a while, and you're like, am I picking him up this week or no?
And then the week
Is he going to get me 3 or is he going to get
25,
me 17?
yeah.
Now that he has the chance to be kind of like the lead, like wide receiver in the room type deal, I don't know. Maybe he could have a breakout year.
Well, that's one of those where it's just follow the money. Like he got paid $20 million a year.
But I mean,
so.
Here's the thing: like he has a chance to be the number one guy now. He's got a young quarterback who's trying to prove something. You know what I mean? I mean, Kyler Murray was kind of like that in a way when he played with Kyler Murray. I mean, Trevor Lawrence definitely can't be worse than he was last year. The team can't be worse than they were last year. So I mean, Christian Kirk is gonna have a lot to do with that this year. So we'll see. We'll see how many targets he gets.
You said something about Allen Lazard.
I drafted him. So we did a mock draft last night, and Alan was like, "Why'd you take Allen Lazard in the 6th round? That's gross." It's like
He's just gonna get all the targets.
I was going to say, one of those Packers receivers
is gonna have a
going to
great
end up
season.
being the number one.
So like, Allen Lazard might be the most overrated right now, but at the same time, it's like
He's still going to have 1,000 yards and probably at least like 8 touchdowns.
Well, whoever the number one ends up being in Green Bay, they're gonna have 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. So if you're basically like just picking a name out of a hat. It could be Allen Lazard. It could be Randall Cobb. Maybe it could be like they have one other receiver that I'm forgetting his name. It's not Equanimous and it's not Valdez-Scantling. It's someone else.
Valdez-Scantling's in the Chiefs now.
Yeah, he could be good too.
He could. I was going to say he could be very good.
But I don't know. There's got to be one that emerges and breaks out, and it's like Lazard's been there. I guess you can make the same arguments for Cobb, but Cobb's just like in a retirement home at this point.
Cobb's old as
he's
shit,
old.
man.
He's really old.
So I don't know. You're kind of just betting.
He's like 80.
He's like ancient when it comes to football.
so
He's not.
old.
He's no number one receiver.
He's gonna be in a walker out on the field, bro. That's how old he is.
You're just betting on the ramp up. Like you've seen Lazard. It's not like he's been like a game breaker, but he's made plays when he's been in there. Rodgers probably trusts him at this point. He has to. He doesn't really have a choice. This is making me hate the Packers right now. Like
They're bad.
I already don't like the Packers, obviously, for
It's gonna be Aaron Jones.
known reasons.
It's gonna be the Aaron Jones.
Well,
show.
that's the thing. It's like, are they just gonna run it every play? Is it just gonna be AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones every play for them? Like, they have they literally have no receivers.
AJ Dillon's like really good.
Tanyan, like, are they just gonna throw it to Tanyan every play? Like,
No.
Yeah, listen, in some 12-man leagues, you might end up.
Aaron
Allen Lazard as your flex might
Aaron
not
Jones
be.
oh, that's
the
not
worst thing in
terrible.
the
That's
world.
good. I like that.
Aaron Jones is a good pick for anybody.
Then it's just one of those where it's like, Allen Lazard's on the board though, and like, I don't know.
But yeah, he's one of those guys you don't want to take him.
Because like Allen Robinson gets drafted in the same region or something, and then you're like the guy that took Allen Lazard over Allen Robinson, and you're just like, why would I do that?
And then he's trash like 4 games in. You're like, why did I pick Allen Lazard?
So it's one of those where you are taking a chance, But at the same time, if it hits huge. Like it's like one of those. So I like the risk reward there.
I do too. I am in agreement.
I don't know. Do we want to talk about like maybe a team?
I mean, there's a rookie. There's a couple rookies that I think could have big, not like big, but like could
I don't really see it with the rookie class this year.
Well, there's that guy that Tennessee picked up, Traylon Burks. They picked him 18th overall. Where do you play? Arkansas, I think. So I mean, with a team that just lost their main wide receiver. I mean, they lost both. They lost Julio Jones.
I mean, Robert Woods is going to be the number one wide receiver there.
So you see what I'm saying, though? Like there could be some games where, the rookie gets a little bit of love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
That's just more back catalog stuff.
I don't know. I did a rookie draft not too long ago, and all the rookies look terrible. Like, just like in the situation.
It's a weak class.
It's
a weak class for sure.
Breakout names. I keep hearing people throw Rashad Bateman out there nonstop.
Rashad Bateman, I do like. I mean, he's the number one. It's an offense that doesn't throw a lot, but he is the number one, and he's a big target. So he could come down with 8 or 10 touchdowns this year. That wouldn't shock me.
And then people are, throwing Dobbins' name out there again.
Dobbins is scary to me.
It is. I think the argument there is that, Ravens are a good organization. They figure things out. They figure out ways to.
Well, not arguing that they're not a good organization.
I think they're going to be very good this year. They're going to need some offensive.
Teams that have really mobile quarterbacks. The Ravens being they have the most mobile quarterback. It takes so much away from the running backs.
Well, I was gonna say partially that, and partially they're a team that doesn't rely on one guy. They'll throw like Gus Edwards in there. They'll throw. I think they have Mike Davis in there. Like there
is strength in numbers.
So. Yeah, Dobbins might have a good season, but I'm not drafting him in the 3rd round.
I wouldn't either.
I loved J.K. Dobbins a couple years ago, and then I was upset that he got hurt last year because I think last year he could have had.
I think his first year I ended up with Dobbins on my team for at least a few weeks or something.
It was probably like his rookie year, right?
I think so. He had a few good weeks.
No way it was last year.
I remember getting him off waivers or something a few years ago and being like, "Oh, this
he got hurt
guy
before
had
the
a good
season
game
started last year, right? Didn't he get hurt in preseason?
All right, give me your team that's just like your team this year. Like you expect them to have a good year. You're rooting for them all year. Like you're just putting all your support behind. Mine is obviously the Jaguars. I mean, I'm Eagles all the way, but Jaguars are like the team that's in the dumps right now that nobody really sees the vision on. That is borderline like probably one of the worst franchises in the NFL. But I think it all comes together this year for them, and they might make the playoffs. So I'm throwing all my support and love and energy behind the Jaguars this year.
I like that. Tony, do you have a team? I have like 2, but I'd say more than the other. I really like. And funny enough, they're both in the same division. The Raiders.
You do like the Raiders.
I love the Raiders. I mean, just because I'm such a big Derek Carr guy, like. He might be one of my favorites, dude. Just as like a guy that I just love to root for. And like, okay, so last year they had some trouble. They had a few hiccups, but they still almost made the playoffs even with that, right? Or they did make the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's just like, I love that team. I love that they fight, and I love Darren Waller. They added Devontae Adams, huge piece that they needed. Their defense is still pretty young, but I mean, they have Crosby. He's just an animal.
Chandler Jones
now. Like, are you kidding me?
Oh, shit, that's right. Yeah, their defense is not bad whatsoever.
New coach, a guy that me and Sal are very familiar with. I think this time around he does a little bit better than his first go at it, and I think, and then the other team is just the Chargers. I think that they're really good.
I'm really curious to see what Antonio says.
I love me some Raiders. I just gotta say first, that's the most interesting team like that division too, because it still seems like
they're very interesting.
I don't know. I was gonna say it still seems like they might be the odd man out in that division, but it's hard to say what team is the odd man out. My team.
Hold on, can I guess?
I mean,
yeah. Go ahead.
Is it Denver?
It's not Denver. Let me guess.
He always loves Denver.
Is it Denver?
Wow, it's Denver.
Is it really?
I didn't think. He always loves Denver.
I think when we did the predictions, I was like, I think next year's when they pop, but
This year
they might get last place and have a winning record.
They could
But
tickle you
I
this
want
year.
them to do better than that. I hope they win that division. I really want to see them have a great year. I think they can have a great year.
So,
I think they will have a great year.
I want this, like,
We're very AFC West heavy.
apparently.
I've always been I don't know. I've always kind of liked the Broncos.
You don't have to be, like, married to these teams, but I want you, like, throughout the season to just be like,
Oh yeah, I'll always be like that.
this is like this is your
The
team. Like
Raiders.
you're pledging your allegiance to this team right
Like
now.
when we're doing predictions, me and you are like we were saying Vikings like are our team, but that's just me saying like they're going to be so much better than they were last year.
I don't
Yeah.
want to.
They're going to win
I don't
this
want to
division.
root for the Vikings.
I don't want to root for the Vikings because I don't think they're cool. I
But
don't
you'll root
really
for the
like them.
Broncos.
But I'll root for the Broncos.
He always roots for the Broncos.
I do
dude.
always root for the Broncos. Remember, I loved Drew Lock.
Yeah.
You know, he came
Yeah.
along.
They're
Oh,
a good team.
I was wondering. I could
I
not
like the
think of.
Jags. I hope the Jags,
I-
do the same thing.
I could not think of who Denver played week 1. They play in Russell's old house week 1. in
Yeah, that's
Seattle.
right.
That's crazy. Who did that over at the league?
They're just
Who did that?
They're typing up the script. They're
Someone
like,
did that.
It was Roger. Roger was like week 1.
They're like, we
special.
need some storylines for week 1.
Yeah, Denver.
That's a good
baby.
storyline.
No, I'm not saying it's not.
Wow, Russell might go in there and carve him up.
Let's
He
just
might
say,
not.
Let's just
He
take
might
a
not.
He might not. No way he doesn't.
no. Watch, it'll be one of those where he wins on like a last second touchdown.
Because like, are people like? Sometimes I think people are a little low on Russell Wilson.
They are.
Like not that he's
Oh.
not that he's like the crazy quarterback that he was, but I mean, look at what he had to work with these past few years in Seattle. Like it was just DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, and
pretty
look at
much.
these
And Tyler
guys. He's
Lockett
got
is 4'2". Like
he's
you know
got
what I
some
mean?
talent around.
And,
him.
and he made Tyler Lockett look really fucking good.
I just think that they're gonna go like 9-6 or 9-8 or 8-9 or 7-10 or they're gonna be like one of those teams.
But I still think people need to like give Russell Wilson a little bit of credit sometimes.
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
The running back. Who the hell's our running back?
Javonte Williams. I said he was gonna break out.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, we
I was
talked
gonna
about
say
him.
he's gonna break out.
So you're married to the Jags then?
Don't care.
I mean, I don't really give a shit. I don't care.
I just think the AFC South is totally up for grabs, and if Lawrence
Yeah, it is.
comes out and starts smacking around a couple teams the first 2-3 weeks, it's like, oh shit, this team can win the division. Like that wouldn't be. They play Washington week 1. Like they're gonna smack Washington week 1.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Carson Wentz. I'm not a fan of Carson Wentz.
I just think they're one of those teams where like
Chase Young's gonna have a real good year.
there's a lot
Can
of
we talk about him for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Does Ron Rivera like punt him out of there if he actually really starts to suck? Like if he really starts to suck?
I mean, he's
Like
never
look at what he did. I mean,
He's never really
R.I.P.
sucked.
Drew Haskins. Look at what he did to Haskins. Like
yeah.
he like remember he like didn't have him like come. What was it? He pretty much like kicked him off the team almost.
Yeah.
Like, does he do that to Carson Wentz?
Oh, I thought you were saying a Chase Young. I was like, I don't know.
No,
where
not
this-
Chase
I was
Young.
like,
I'm
where
talking
is
about
this
Ron
coming
Rivera to
from?
Carson
I think
Wentz.
Haskins had like other like team issues too.
Well, yeah,
though.
he was kind of being a dick off the field. I think it was more or
I
less
said
that.
Dwayne Haskins is what I meant. But I mean, but Carson Wentz, I don't know, bro.
He's
No, he's
ass.
not it. He's not the answer. I don't really know why Washington would be like, yeah, sure, we'll take him, but I don't know. It's just like one of those where
He's gonna end up being a starter for some team, and it's
I will to this day say Taylor Heineke's better. I don't care. I don't care.
they were better off just trying to draft someone and bottoming out this year, or just
yeah.
not like
Yeah, they would have been way better off
Carson-
sticking with
Because
him.
now you're like, all right, what's your direction?
They're
Carson.
literally what the Colts. It's the same thing that the Colts did.
Carson Wentz is like just good enough to like win you a couple games.
Is he good
It's
enough?
the same thing the Colts
for-
are doing right now. The Colts
he-
are doing the same thing.
Is Carson Wentz good enough for Terry McLaurin to have a pretty big year?
I
No.
hope so because I have Terry McLaurin in my dynasty.
No, he's not.
Nah.
He's not. I'm sick of having.
I mean, again, like
Taylor
you could
Heineke,
say he's
yes.
not, but like
Taylor Heineke, yes.
you could say he's not. But DeAndre Hopkins literally had like 1,200 yards and 12 touchdowns with Brian fucking Hoyer.
Because you know what the difference is.
Like shit like that happens. Good players can excel with a bad quarterback. It can happen.
But the
it
difference
does
is
happen.
when I watch Taylor Heineke play versus when I watch Carson Wentz play, I know that Taylor Heineke wants to be there and he wants to win. When I watch Carson Wentz play, I'm like,
wants to
you
farm.
hate
Well,
football,
right.
huh?
No, I was like, oh, that's very true.
Like, and you can see it just in the body language. Like, remember what was it last year when the Colts had like a game-winning drive and he wouldn't go in the game because his like toe hurt? What?
There's just a lot of movement outside.
What?
Carpooled into the driveway, carpooled out of the driveway, carpooled into the driveway. I don't know. It's just I was mesmerized for a second.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But like the Colts last year had a chance to win the game, and remember Carson Wentz didn't go in because his like toe hurt.
Yeah, I mean that's been the story of his whole career.
Taylor Heineke would play
his
without a
thing.
foot if he.
That's literally
That's his thing.
Taylor Heineke would go in without a foot if they had a chance to win the game.
No, I agree.
So like that's just my I just had to get my hate for Carson Wentz out there.
Any other footnotes? Any other thoughts?
What, you got a pen?
Comments, opinions?
Write a note on my foot.
Would say Andy.
What do we think?
No, it'll be a message to you.
What do we think?
Then you look at the bottom of his foot.
One
next
last thing.
podcast.
What do we think Kyle Pitts is going to do this year?
I think he's gonna be pretty mid.
Pretty mid.
He's going like the third round. I'm not drafting him in the third round.
I don't think I draft him at all.
I don't really touch tight ends early in the draft.
Me neither. And I just think I think there's a bunch of better options.
When I first started, 4 years ago, first starting fantasy, it'd be like, what am I doing for tight end? I could go after Travis Kelce or Gronk in the first 2 rounds, but I could get Austin Hoover later in the draft, and he's going to get me 10
Yeah,
points
and he's a
every
solid
week.
choice.
Well, I'll take George Kittle in the 5th or 6th.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but
That's
George
true.
Kittle's always one of those guys that's so icky. Like sometimes he's so hurt.
I mean, when he plays, he's
When he plays, he's an
a
animal.
monster. I mean, you're gonna realize when you're drafting him, like he's gonna be out for 4 games or 6 games. But
Darren
But
Waller.
can you sacrifice?
I don't like Darren Waller because of all the other pieces. It's just one of those things where it's like Devontae's.
I still like Darren Waller.
It's not like I don't like Darren Waller, but for where he's drafted in like the 4th round, I'm.
I think especially in the beginning of the year when they're still trying to work things out. Derek Carr and Devontae Adams are still trying to like get the chemistry going. Darren Waller's still going to be there, so Darren Waller for sure. I think gets a lot of targets in the beginning of the year.
I don't know. Tight ends are always kind of.
Tight ends are icky. I think T.J. Hawkinson's always a good choice.
I think we should
I
get
think
rid
I
of
had
tight
him
ends
last year.
I think we should get rid of tight ends in fantasy and just do double kickers. Like you just play 2
Double kickers.
Double
Okay, what
kickers.
kickers
I'm cool
do we
with
think is
that.
breaking out?
kicker breaking out.
I don't know. I don't know shit. About
Yeah, I don't
kickers.
know. The
Is Adam Vinatieri still playing?
No, there's a kid.
He's just 80. He's just still playing.
Daniel Carlson.
Yeah,
Who the hell does he play for?
Oh yeah, wait, no.
plays
Who's
for the Raiders.
Who's the
Yeah,
guy?
he does. He went to
Who's
Auburn.
the guy with
Let's
the
go.
goggles?
Oh,
Rodrigo.
Yeah,
Blankenship.
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 Yeah.
Dude,
Hot
I
Rod?
like that guy. I like
he's
that guy.
isn't he on Detroit?
Indianapolis.
Yeah. Money Mac on the Bengals.
Money Mac.
Hot Rod.
Yeah.
It's Hot Rod.
We like him.
Will a kicker win MVP this season?
No.
Maybe. It's been done before.
Sal.
I did like Money Mac. Money
I'll
Mac
take
was
it.
my favorite.
Even
though.
odds.
Bet a kicker will win. You're saying a kicker will win.
Yep.
How much?
But you think
$100
even
even odds.
I will give you 1,000 to 1 on a dollar.
You're
That's
gonna bet that
nuts.
with me right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
You should take that.
I can't wait till Money Mac has like 50
Remember
field
that
goals
one.
week 1.
Dude, he was insane last year. For that whole playoff run, he was automatic.
So what
dude.
kicker wins MVP this year? Just to spite
Money
me?
Mac.
It's Money Mac.
You want to know why? Because he was a rookie and nothing phased him.
No,
Kicking is
If a
kicking
kicker-
is 95%
if-
mental.
stop.
If a kicker wins MVP, I'm never coming on this podcast again.
Like kicking is 95% mental. If he's making a kick to win the AFC Championship game and he says to his teammates
Oh,
before
like it's
he
money,
goes and
like,
kick it
we're going to the
that
Super
it's
Bowl.
going in and
Yeah.
we're going to the Super Bowl, winning MVP. He has the biggest cock. Like he has just the biggest dong.
so if the Cowboys,
Nothing bothers that guy.
that's true. I forgot about all that.
Yeah. He's insane.
if the
dude.
Cowboys,
So if the Cowboys ever start the season with a different kicker than the year before, that kicker's breaking out because whatever the Cowboys kicker is can automatically just drill 50-plus yard field goals nonstop. Dan Bailey was like God when
then
he
he
was on
sucked.
Dallas.
It's
And
just
then
because
they-
Then he was garbage when he got to
Do you think a
Minnesota.
lot of it has to do with the dome too?
Yeah.
Like,
A
how
lot of
much
teams
do you
play
think
with
that
domes.
actually? Like, okay, so we get into the deep of the winter, right? We get into like December.
I think it's just 80% mental with them. Like when they're kicking good, they're kicking good, and when they're kicking bad,
There's always like a couple weeks where kickers are really bad, and they're really bad everywhere.
yeah. Well, it's like Crosby last year was hitting the upright like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and it's one of those things where
it's so mental.
You're just like, oh, don't hit the crossbar, and it's instead of like just
Mason crossbar.
It's instead of I'm gonna go up there.
The obstacle theory.
Yes, yeah.
Like pilots do that.
Yeah.
You know that? Instead of pilots, you don't say don't hit the obstacle. You have to say, fly over it, because they say if you say don't hit the obstacle, they'll hit it all the time, because it's like you're thinking about the obstacle. So you walk up to a kick and you're like, don't hit the crossbar, don't hit the crossbar.
And
you're only thinking about the crossbar, so you'll hit it. That's just what happens. I think that's what happens with a lot of kickers. They just fold. They fold. They can't handle it.
Before we leave, the Yankees are the worst team that's ever.
Yeah, they're down 3-0.
Yeah, they are.
Horrible. They're 2-10 in their last 12. That's shit. That's real shit.
Are they making the World Series, Antonio?
Yeah, because I don't think the American League is special.
They're not.
The Astros aren't either. Then who is from the American League?
If we have an ALCS
The
with
Toronto
the
Blue
Yankees,
Jays, like I said at the beginning of the year.
Oh. Now, if it's not the Yankees or Astros, it's going to be the Mariners.
the Mariners, that's gross.
Well, the Mariners are who...
They are
is
who
going
we
to
thought
knock
they
out.
were.
No, they're still going to win 94 games.
They tried. No,
They're-
I don't think they can.
They're
can they?
knocking out Houston.
So you have the Blue Jays?
I had Blue Jays Mets. That was my prediction from the beginning.
Blue
Oh,
Jays,
wow.
Mets. Okay.
Did I say... I said Mets who? I said...
No, you said Cardinals.
Yeah, you love the Cardinals.
You said Cardinals Yankees?
No, I said... I don't want to say my American League team. Do you remember what I said?
Angels?
I said the White Sox.
Oh, yeah, that's terrible.
No way, you said the White Sox.
Yeah, he did. He did say White Sox.
He was your actual pick?
He was really high on them.
Who
at the
did I
beginning of
pick?
the year.
Who
You
could-
did- I don't think you took one. I think you were just like the Mets, yeah.
Who could still win
From
their
the
division
NL, but
south?
who did I say the AL?
No, I don't think you just. We were so confident in the Mets. You were just like, yeah.
Did I say that?
Would
I probably said
would
Red
the
Sox.
Orioles still be in first in the AL Central? Let's see.
Maybe.
I'm such a homer.
I mean, despite
the
the shit record of the Twins for a leading division winner, that roster is really talented.
I mean, I don't know what happened to them because I was really confident in that team. Like, I thought they were going to be really good.
I
this
mean,
year.
if the Yankees play them in the playoffs, that's our bitch in the playoffs. I'm not worried, but maybe they're talented.
Yankees,
enough.
Astros,
the White Sox can
ALCS.
smack you around.
Huh?
Hey,
The White Sox can smack you around. Maybe.
the Yankees, Astros, ALCS. Did the
It's
Yankees,
not happening.
Do they get revenge? Do the Yankees
No,
get
Antonio
revenge?
swears that matchup is not happening.
Why would that not happen?
Because it's just supposed to, and it's not gonna.
That's
Well, okay,
that's like
if
what
it's-
happens.
if
though.
it
So
does.
this year, it's more like it's more destiny than it was in 2019. It's more destiny than it was. In
Okay, but
2017.
if it happens, do they get revenge?
Oh, it just depends who has home field advantage. It really
well,
does.
it's not going to be the Yankees
Yeah, they're like,
Could be the
dude,
Yankees.
because they suck.
they have the second best record in the AL now. The Yankees. They had
Okay.
Houston by like 6 games.
Yeah, now
like,
they're down 3. or
3 weeks
something.
ago.
Yeah.
And I remember when the Yankees started losing a lot, I'm like, dude, they can't fuck around like this because Houston's right there. And when Houston was like a game below us, they went on like a 5-game losing streak. So I'm like,
There's
we
also
gotta
something
get going.
about like when the Yankees play the Red Sox. Why do the Red Sox like always win?
only when the Red Sox are bad and late in the year do the Yankees lose to the Red Sox.
I feel like it's
the
just
few
like
times that the Yankees have beat the Red Sox, they've killed the Red Sox.
no, I feel like it's just like this. It's like one of those like swinging pendulums. It's like for like half a year the Red Sox own them, and then the Yankees own them.
Yeah,
and
like
then the Red Sox
earlier
own
in
them,
the
and then
year, we
Yankees
kicked
own
the
them.
snot out of them, and now we lost 2 straight series to them.
It's just one of those where like your rivals and anyone can win those games. Like you know exactly what they're gonna do. You
Yeah.
circle it on your calendar. You're ready for it. Like
I don't know. It seems
Fuck
like
Cleveland.
the Yankees are on
were
a.
they losing?
I don't know. I don't want Cleveland to make the playoffs.
The
I don't
Guardians.
care
See,
about the Guardians.
I'm
I
very
don't
upset
give
at
a
myself
fuck.
because like the name change should have been like one of those things where I planted my flag and said this team's gonna be good this year, and I was like,
I don't care if they. I don't
Just
wish
'cause the
any
name
success
change.
upon them ever because their name is so lame. It's so
is really-
it's
stupid.
a lame name, but like at the same time, it's like
Like they're not winning in the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs. They're not winning.
probably not,
No,
probably not,
because of the name change.
maybe.
Oh, welcome back to the ALCS. We have Yankees,
Guardians and the
Yankees and
Yankees.
Cleveland Guardians. Like, no, that's not happening.
And they show a Guardians of the Galaxy commercial, and you're like, damn it.
I did say Cardinals White Sox because I probably was like, oh, Tony La Russa.
Yeah, literally.
It's definitely what you
No,
said.
but I put a future on the Mets to go to the World Series because it's so
When?
it's
I
so
caught you that
happening.
time.
You watch the Mets and you're just like, there's a thing with this team
Happening with this team.
Like,
yeah.
The Mets are so
just
good.
like there's
It's the
something
Mets
going on
World
in
Series
Queens.
to lose, I think, at this point. Which I said that at the beginning of the year, I think. Because I'm such a big baseball guy.
Huge baseball.
Walker Buehler out for the year, and Tatis will not be returning.
I mean, Tatis Gerard Lord, so.
That's so funny. That was so random.
Yeah, did you see Robinson Cano said he was incredibly disappointed? In
I think that was just a joke.
It was a joke.
Yeah, that was a joke that people took out of context. Because I saw so many articles that were like,
That's-
Robinson Cano says.
That's pretty funny, though.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a fake like tweet or something.
That sucks for the Padres, dude. The Padres are just so bad.
Aw.
Yeah, whatever. Now I don't have to worry about that. So
They get Juan Soto, and the league's like,
Yeah, you
have
too
fun,
much.
Mets, Cardinals, Braves.
All right, last final thought from each of you and me. One from each of you. Antonio, just anything.
I'm gonna go eat some taquitos.
Taquitos.
No.
Interesting. My last final thought.
He's gonna go eat some chicken nuggets.
Probably. It's probably going to be the move.
Tomorrow is going to be the best day of everyone's life.
Everyone's?
Everyone's.
On Earth?
Collectively, everyone is going to have the best day on Earth ever
Like,
tomorrow.
of just us three?
Are we
or-
gonna wake up like SpongeBob in the best day ever
Yes.
episode? Every single
Yeah.
person.
Tomorrow's just going to be, like, perfect. Sunshine.
Don't you love those days, though, sometimes, where, like, everything goes your way, and you're like, yeah.
Sunshine. South Sunshine is supposed to rain tomorrow.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I think it is, yeah.
Whatever. You still have a good day for rains.
Could take a good nap when it rains.
Yeah, but then you're just, like, not having a good day. If you take a nap, you're not, like, having a good day.
No, if you take a good nap, like, okay, say you wake up
You
early.
wake up from a nap and your UAV is jammed. Like, that's literally what happens.
Sometimes, though. Sometimes you wake up
No,
and I have specialists. Like I have every perk. Sometimes I wake up and I'm just, like, wired and ready to go.
No, I'm not a big like day nap person. So whenever
Neither am
I
I.
wake up from napping in the middle of the day, I'm like, what
If
the
it,
fuck?
I have to be drained to take a nap.
I
do too.
Especially in the summer.
I used to
I never
be
know where I am when I wake up.
I used to be a habitual napper. Now I almost,
Yeah, you did.
Now I almost never nap.
I do in the winter time when it's
That's
depressing
because
outside.
winter's trash.
The
Yeah.
only time I really ever nap is if like this weekend I go out, like I went out, and then the next day I barely get any sleep. So
Oh,
it's
yeah. So then
like
you take a nap. Yeah.
right, you gotta catch up. So
My whole thing, I think I took a nap a couple of days last week when I was just up early and I was out in the sun. I'd get home at like
the
1.
sun gets you. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
one.
and I'd just be drained. I'd take a nap from like 1 to 4. I'd wake up so refreshed.
Should we just have like a weather podcast? Like just like
I mean, okay, Robert's laughing his ass off right now because he knows how much I'm such a weather nerd, but it's just like, yeah,
Really?
I would.
I would too. I love weather.
would you do like meteorology school? Like is that something you'd like ever
I
consider?
thought about it, yeah.
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 That's what people used to tell me because you had the same major as me at one point. The
There's
communications
two. There's
If you
there's
told
3
someone that you were
things.
majoring in communications broadcasting, the first thing out of their mouth was,
Weatherman.
"Oh, are you gonna be a weatherman?"
Yeah.
Always.
I mean, I never got that, but
You take Scott Haney's place.
Scott Haney. No,
I love weather. I used to get home from middle school and turn on the weather channel.
no, I like it in the winter.
Honest to
time when,
God,
like,
I think a
there's-
lot of
when
kids do
there's-
that because I did that too. Like it's just
Yeah.
like
Like, dude, those shows are like cool.
I'd watch like a couple shows, but like I was more interested in like the weather too, like the actual.
It's like so interesting.
Just like
It's
they,
how can like how does a tornado happen? It's
Right.
like it's so bizarre. Like just think of wind and it just comes to the ground, destroys everything. If
we
you think
had-
like hurricanes, it's just one giant storm that destroys everything, fucks everything up.
Dude,
like that's
if,
so
If there was
crazy.
a hurricane coming up the coast, I would have the weather channel on.
You'd be checking on it,
and I'd be
right?
looking at it because they'd have the people there live.
whenever
I'm
there
not
was
alone.
whenever there was a snowstorm, I'd always throw that shit on.
That's when
Yeah.
that's when it really gets is when the snowstorms happen. I'm like
They're just
okay,
like,
how
oh,
much
there's
snow
a
are we
band of
actually gonna get?
3-inch like per hour snowstorm heading your way. Oh
Right?
my god!
How sick is that, dude?
Weather Underground,
Yeah.
that show.
Yeah, or like there's some guys on
Storm
Twitter.
Chasers.
There's some guys on Twitter that I see that talk about it all the time.
Chasers. Yeah.
Storm Chasers was a great show. I mean, we could do a weather podcast.
Done. Tune in next week.
Who's listening to a weather podcast? Like, is there
It's
actually
just all weathermen.
Is there weather podcasts?
Weathermen just listen to weatherman podcast or
Right,
like
yeah.
weather podcasts.
They just talking about storms that happen all over the place.
Storm tonight.
I want to do like a philosophical podcast where we just talk about crazy shit.
We can do that.
Like a trip acid and just
No, not like that heavy, but like
just like I love flowers.
Well, we'd
and-
have to.
no, like
yeah,
I
we'd
want to
have
know.
figure it
Like
out,
I want to
but
know your deepest and darkest secrets. It's that I want to do that type shit.
It's like that.
I was trying to think of something funny. I trying to think of it in time. All right. On that note,
On that
You-
footnote,
have a great day tomorrow.
You're going to
You're
the
gonna-
panty raid.
You're gonna have the best day ever tomorrow for listening to this. And if it's not the day after it's posted, it's the day after you listen to this.
Okay, yeah.
It's
No,
all-
I mean, yeah, that'll be it.
it's
the
all
day
trans-
after. The day after you
The
listen.
day
to this.
after you listen to this, you have the best
For
day
us,
ever.
it'll be tomorrow.
For us, it's tomorrow. For you, whoever is listening, it's the next day.
All right.
have a good day.
Over and out. Mic drop.
Over down my truck.
I said mic drop.
I thought he said my truck too.
Over and out. Mic drop.
I go from a nap and I have
I swear to God, I'll do a weather podcast.